Okay. What's up, everybody? Jake Chapman here with you. I am here in our Kia Center studios, and we are getting set for the Magic and the Washington Wizards. Orlando's first trip to Washington here at the end of March. Game number 71, believe it or not. We'll be back up there in a week or two as Magic hope to kind of capture some of that magic that we saw out on that 5-game road trip. That was a 3-2 road trip. Orlando came home, dropped a disappointing one on Wednesday to the Houston Rockets. And Dan Savage joins me. He is in Washington, D.C. We'll check in with Dan in a matter of moments. And as always, hit us up in the comment section on the YouTube page. There's Dan. There's Dan right there. I got the little mini box going on down here. Dan, what's going on? How's Washington, D.C.?
Washington, D.C. is treating us well. Weather is not bad after a rainy landing yesterday, but today cleared up a bit. Although it's cool, it's not quite Orlando. It is nice, and I'm here in an undisclosed room right outside the Magic's locker room, sitting here with you, so everybody could hear exactly what I'm saying right outside this room.
Okay, all right. Well, we won't put you on the spot. I'm not sure it's still undisclosed if you're talking about who can hear you on the outside. But Dan Savage is on location. He is in Washington, D.C., and we're getting a look right now at Wendell Carter Jr. Getting his warm-up on as the Magic gets set for a Washington team that's 15-53 on the season. But going back to the last time we saw those guys, which was a win here at the Kia Center. They've gone 6-6 since. They were 9-47 after that game and playing pretty good ball. 500 basketball. Elif Sar is at the very least making an argument for Rookie of the Year. So look, it's a game you absolutely have to have, but I think certainly we know going to have to go out and take care of business against this Washington Wizards team. Let's talk about that loss against the Houston Rockets on Wednesday night. That was a game that 116-108, the final score, wasn't quite as bad as the rebounding disparity that we saw on the trip to Houston, but certainly that was a game that felt like it could have been had. The third quarter woes have been a bit of an issue for this team post All-Star break, and that really was the problem on Wednesday night here at the Kia Center against Houston. 32-20, they outscored you in the third quarter of that game. And what do we got going on down here? Kendra, don't you have your own show? Kendra Douglas is the star of the YouTube comments section. We already got a lot of people. Maybe she's reading the comments because I'm pretty sure all anybody's asking for is to check in with Kendra. Can she hear what I'm saying right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Kendra, when does your show start, Kendra?
6:30 on FanDuel Sports Network. You're home for the Orlando Magic. I just wanted to come on, say hi, and you guys are doing great.
And wait for everybody in the comment section. It's Kendra's birthday tomorrow, so shout out, happy birthday, Kendra, in the comments.
All right, there you go. There you go. Happy birthday, Kendra. 22 years old, if you can believe it or not. Kendra Douglas doing a fantastic job.
They brought her birthday cupcakes in this room.
I got to tell you, I am loving the March Madness pantsuit. I mean, that to me is, it looks like you're ready to stroll the sideline. I'm not. It's LSU type colors. Yeah, kids. It's Kim Mulkey vibes. It's not quite as vibrant as Kim Mulkey makes us deal with. But let's look at that. She's killing it. That's good work. That's very nice.
The Wizards provided her with birthday cupcakes.
Oh my goodness. And if I know anything about Dan Savage, there's going to be about half of those things remaining by the time we get done with it.
I already commandeered one, so she wasn't even here to give me permission.
All right. Well, this has gone completely off the rails. Let's check in. Do we have highlights from, or lowlights, I guess we should call them, from Wednesday night? All right. We're going to skip the highlights.
There we go. You see, insulted the highlights. And now our producer doesn't even want to play.
This is, well, at the very least, we're addressing the big stories. Comments coming in. Let's see. Kendra's goofy. Happy birthday, Kendra. And then a whole bunch of Kendra Hart. Hi, Kendra. Hi, Kendra. So yeah, pretty much what's to be expected as far as the comment section go. Jake Chapman here with you. We're gonna have the pregame show at 6:30 coming up in about 25 minutes, and you can hear the broadcast from here in the Juice Box Studios. We call it the Juice Box because it's a box, and we got to bring the juice. And hopefully, the Magic able to bring some juice tonight. Looking for their 9th straight win against the Washington Wizards, and hopefully that man has a little more in store for us because he has been absolutely insane, really since the All-Star break. But Paulo Banchero, going back now, the last 14 games, averaging over 29 points per game, shooting 47% from the field, 36% from 3-point range, and just absolutely on a tear right now. 8 straight games. He's been the Magic's lead scorer. That was the case again the other night against Houston, 31 points in that one, but the Magic just come up a little bit short. Dan Savage, what are you seeing from Paulo right now as far as his game goes and just how he's seeing the floor? It just feels like, I'm sure for him, shooting a beach ball into the ocean.
Yeah, no, it certainly looks that way. I talked a little bit with Magic head coach Jamal Mosley about that pregame. His thought process on it is twofold. One, Paolo's getting his legs back under him, back to full form and conditioning as he was towards the beginning of the season before he got hurt. Finally back there, so that's playing a part. And two, just getting very familiar and comfortable with the way defenses are playing him and how to be efficient within what he's seeing. So, all these teams have thrown a bunch of different looks at Paolo. He's now gone through the gambit of them. He's now accustomed to how to make the right play within them. And we're seeing him be not only effective, but immensely efficient. And that's a big thing for him.
Getting to the free throw line is always a big key as well. Now his free throw percentage up over 72% for the season. And it's interesting, you talk about defenses throwing kind of the kitchen sink at Paolo and at everybody else. We got a question from Will Dawson. How can the Magic break the zone? Because that was an issue on Wednesday. Ime Udoka, it felt like most of the night was in a zone set defensively, and the easy way to break a zone typically is to shoot over it. That was not going to save you on Wednesday night. The Magic just struggle shooting the ball from the perimeter, but that's the easiest way to break a zone. The second easiest way, in my opinion, is just to be decisive with the basketball in your hands. You got to you got to kind of kick it around the perimeter, but do so with a purpose. Attack the basket, get in, sort of puncture that zone, and just keep that ball either moving or facilitating. Or if you get it and you can see the defense, a step behind, attack, get to the bucket, get into the teeth of the defense, and create from there. Dan, coming out of that game on Wednesday, it's sort of what Coach Mosley said. Like, we got to make shots if teams are going to go zone against us. But I would expect to see it probably more so until the Magic prove that they can beat the zone.
No, as you alluded to, Jake, it is a make or miss league. So at some point, you do have to make shots if you get open looks, and the Magic have to do that. I would say there's a third way and the most effective way for the Magic, which is to score points in transition. Use your defense to generate offense before that zone defense gets set. And look, the Wizards play with an increased tempo. They play at the 4th highest pace in the NBA. They're playing even faster lately. But with that comes some miscues as expected with a young team. So they turn it over 15.8 times per game, the 4th most in the association. And those giveaways lead to buckets. They give up the most second most points off turnovers in the NBA, 20.1 of them per outing. So the Wizards' weakness plays into a Magic's strength, and they're going to have to take advantage of that tonight here in DC.
Yeah, you mentioned the team is 4th in pace. They're 10th for the season in fast break points, but in the month of March, they are going faster, up over 18 points per game on the fast break in the month of March. That is 6th in the league, and the Magic have done a good job all season long as far as defending the break. The Magic have allowed, they're 4th in the league in allowing fast break points at 13.7 fast break points per game allowed. Taking a look at the breakdown here, both teams this season. The Magic have won 8 straight against this Washington team, as we mentioned, but the Wizards playing a little bit better as of late. They're 6-6 over the course of their last 12. They do share the ball. Not the best rebounding team necessarily in the league, and you don't necessarily know kind of who you're getting night in and night out. They brought in veterans at the trade deadline, and to their credit, Brian Keefe's credit, they didn't just say, okay, Marcus Smart, your season's done. Okay, Chris Middleton, your season's done. They've got these guys playing, and, they're giving them their days off here and there. But it should be an interesting matchup to be sure tonight with Washington, because there's the guys that like we know when Marcus Smart's on the floor, he's not going to play tonight. We know what Chris Middleton brings. He is available tonight. But then you got some young talent that we've only seen twice. A guy like Alex Sarr, who's playing much better basketball as of late. He's knocking down threes for a 7-footer, 38% in the month of March, Alex Sarr. has been shooting. So it'll be kind of interesting. One of those sort of KYP type games, Dan. Know your personnel. You don't know exactly. Tristan Vukcevic has been starting and playing well for this Washington team as well. Obviously, Keyshawn George and Bob Carrington, Alex Sarr, the rookies, playing heavy minutes. They got three rookies playing 25 plus minutes a night. Dan, and so this is one of those games. You better be locked into the scouting report because there's just not a whole lot of tape on a bunch of these guys.
Yeah, no, without question. And if you watch the tape earlier in the season of Alex Sarr and watch what you're seeing now, it's very, very different. His pick and roll, both with Jordan Poole and some with Chris Middleton, has been extremely effective lately. And, over the last 4 games, the number 2 overall pick in last year's draft, averaging a team high 23.8 points to go along with 6 rebounds, 3.3 assists, a steal, and almost 2 blocks per game. So he's been a big part of the reason this Wizards team's playing 500 basketball and playing effectively, because he could do it at both ends. And even when he doesn't have the ball and he's not scoring, they're using him effectively. He's become a better screener. He's using a ghost screen, as was talked about in their pregame, where he kind of feigns a screen and then rolls to an open spot to shoot or goes to the basket. So he's been playing very effectively, and it's going noticed here in DC.
Speaking of playing effectively, how about a throwback to the beginning of the season performance from Goga Bitadze on Wednesday? Played 23 minutes, the most he's played since the All-Star break. We're getting a look at him warming up on the floor there in Washington, D.C. Came off, had 19 points on Wednesday. He was 8 of 10 from the field, 8 rebounds in 23 minutes. That's the most he's played since the All-Star break, as I mentioned. Dan, the Magic, 14 times this season, Goga Bitadze has registered a double-double. The Magic are 9-5 in those games. And if you go back and just think about when the Magic were playing their best ball of the season, and granted, injuries have had a lot to do with this, and Goga has played more and more high-leverage minutes than at any other time in his career. But having an effective Goga Bitadze to take the onus a little bit off of Wendell Carter Jr., Jonathan Isaac off the bench, having Goga, his rim protection, engaged, rebounding, and playing like he did the other night. And of course, after the game, he said, "Well, they just got me the ball. It's just it's easy for me when those guys are creating and dumping off to me." But an effective Goga Bitadze could be a secret weapon these last 12 games, Dan.
No question. Obviously, when you're trying to be a premier defense, as the Magic want to be, having that anchor at the back of it is so imperative. And Goga's the type of player that can have an impact on both ends of the floor. He can protect the rim to a degree. He's a good positional defender. And then on top of that, he is a lob threat. We've seen, Franz Wagner develop that chemistry with him. Paulo Banchero is trying to develop it. We've seen them, attempt a few lobs, and it's been hit or miss thus far. But I look for, as the season goes on, to them continue that chemistry, because Paulo continues to suck up that defense, and Goga can take advantage of it at the rim.
At the comments here on the YouTube section. Jake Chapman here with you. I'll have the call coming up on the Magic Radio Network. Pregame show at 6:30 with Brandon Kravitz. You can hear us in the Central Florida area on 96.9 The Game, our flagship station, or streaming on the Orlando Magic app, the iHeartRadio app. Outside of the listening area, you can always check us out on SiriusXM or on the NBA League Audio Pass. Dan Savage with me from OrlandoMagic.com. He is there on the scene at Washington, D.C., in Washington, D.C., as the Magic gets set to take on the Washington Wizards here tonight. Comments coming in. Let's see. We've got LeBrag. I think he's trolling everybody, but they're apologizing and making nice. He and Jay Curve doing their thing. Jay Curve is one of our favorites. Will Dawson as well. Jay Curve says, anyway, y'all, we need Goga to step up and be active. Dell keep bodying down low and let Kojo lead the pace. And Dan, let's talk about Cory Joseph a little bit.
Yeah.
He's making his 6th start here tonight. The Magic 2-3 with him in the starting lineup. But really the last 4, I should say, the Magic 2-2 without Cole Anthony and with Kojo in the starting lineup. He pushes pace. He defends. He's decisive with the ball, as I was talking about before. You can tell just by listening postgame. And this doesn't mean that when Cole gets right that, the starting spot is Kojo's, to be sure. I think both those guys are going to play big roles the rest of the way. But just getting guys organized, having that kind of calming presence on the floor. I think Paulo and Franz feel comfortable with him out there. And I think Coach Mosley, probably most importantly, feels comfortable with Cory Joseph leading the show. What have you seen from Kojo in the starting lineup, Dan?
You hit a lot of those points on the head, and at shoot around today, I was talking to KCP about Kojo, talked to Paolo, talked to Magic head coach Jamal Mosley, and as you alluded to, he plays with pace, but controlled pace. He knows when to push the ball. He knows when things need to be slowed down. He gets the ball across half court. There's still 21 seconds left on the shot clock. It gives the Magic more time to operate, get within their sets, and pick apart the defense. And sometimes gets there even before the defense gets set. And so that's that veteran know-how. He's seen every type of defensive coverage. He's ran every type of play in the NBA. So when Magic head coach Jamal Mosley gives him a play call, it's natural for him. He doesn't have a moment of hesitation. Well, how do I run this against this defense? He just knows instantly. And I think it's that veteran savvy that on a team full of young players can pay big dividends. And, we've seen Kojo really try on the defensive end too. He has adapted to the Magic way, knows you have to perform on that level. He follows marching orders. So I think players love playing with him, and Magic head coach Jamal Mosley loves coaching him.
Yeah, when you're in year 14, so much of defending at the NBA level is just about knowing what's coming and being able to anticipate where the screen's coming from, what other teams are running. You can sort of take shortcuts, even if physically you might not be the player that you were in your 20s. If you have a sense of what's coming, then I think you can defend at a pretty high level, and we've seen Cory Joseph do that, certainly as of late. Okay, producer Jason Dewberry, do we want to hear from Coach Mosley pregame? Do we should we roll the pregame presser here? Check in with Coach Mosley. Scouting report for tonight? Or no? Nope.
But I'll take you here, Jake. You mentioned shortcuts, right? And I'll tell you how savvy that Cory Joseph is. We came into the building today off the bus, and they had the route set for us, the Wizards personnel. And Cory Joseph goes, I don't think this is the most efficient route to the locker room. We should come in this back way, because that passes by the media room. He always goes in there, gets his pregame coffee. He gets set a little Daryl Armstrong-like. So the guy is just so savvy. He's even breaking down the best routes to the locker room in opposing NBA arenas.
Coffee Joseph. I like that.
Joseph. Yeah. He goes in there. I don't know if it's a tea or a coffee, but it's something. He's in there. He stops in every opposing media room, and he kind of makes it, mingles with the people. He's a man of the people.
We're gonna have we got to get to the bottom of that. That's good stuff, though, and that makes me feel even more connected to Cory Joseph, because I can't do a broadcast without, especially here in the juice box, without the Mr. Coffee machine and the mochaccino / cortadito that I throw on top. I got about 7 espresso shots here ready to go as we get set for the Washington Wizards and the Orlando Magic. Dan, closing thoughts, because I think we need to close this down.
Yeah. So for me, what did the Magic do so well last season that propelled them into the playoffs? Number one was they played high-end defense. We've touched on that. But number two, they won games against teams that they should beat, especially on their home floor. They were 17-0 last season against sub-500 teams. This Magic team, 7 of their last 12 come against sub-500 clubs. It's going to give them a chance to try to repeat that history, follow that formula. This is one of those games tonight. Talked about it with Paulo. What do you have to do to mirror that formula? He said it's playing with a high focus energy level for a full 48, regardless of who you're going against. That's what this team needs to do. A little harder without the Jalen Suggs and Mo Wagners, who are just instant energy, regardless of opponent on the floor. But this team has to adapt that mindset if they want to close the seasons out strong and move up the postseason ladder to give themselves a better chance to be in the playoff picture.
Oh, very well put. Mo Wagner, Jalen Suggs, they are the cup of coffee that can sort of get you up and really? Get you going. And the Magic, it's mochaccino's, cortadito, throw the extra shot in there. But Dan brings up a really good point. The Magic took care of business all season long last year, and they have most of this year as well, 22-14 against sub-500 teams. And so 2 matchups with Washington still remaining this season. Of course, you got a date with Charlotte coming up next week. If the Magic can take care of business, 2 games against the Atlanta Hawks. And as a matter of fact, let's do that. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Magic before we do sign off. It's Washington here tonight, and then quite the week. Los Angeles Lakers on Monday. That's going to be a 7 o'clock tip at Kia Center. Dwight Howard night. He'll go up into the Magic Hall of Fame. So a lot going on with Los Angeles in the house for their only trip to the Kia Center coming up on Monday. And then right afterwards, we head up to see the Charlotte Hornets. Again, one of those games we mentioned. You got to take care of business in that one. That'll be second half of back-to-back, the dreaded home road back-to-back. We'll see the Hornets on Tuesday and then back home, and we'll kick off a little bit of a homestand with the Dallas Mavericks. Have no idea which Mavericks we'll see for that game, but that'll be next Thursday on March 27th. And all of those games going to be 7 o'clock tips. We'll have the pregame show on the radio side at 6:30. He's Dan Savage. She's Kendra Douglas. She's coming up soon. We'll give you guys exactly what you want to see as Kendra takes over. It's the countdown to Magic as the Magic gets set to take on the Washington Wizards. Jake Chapman here with you. Make sure you lock us in tonight. Pregame show coming your way in about 10 minutes on 96.9 The Game, our flagship station here in Central Florida. And as always, you can listen in on the Orlando Magic app, on the iHeartRadio app, or if you're outside of the listening area, stream us on Sirius XM or on the NBA League Audio Pass. We'll sign off for now. Go Magic.